Hi, my name is Bruce Bolger, and I'm the founder of the Enterprise Engagement Alliance, an organization dedicated to the concept of stakeholder management, which means enhancing returns for your investors only by creating value for your customers, employees, supply chain and distribution partners, communities, and the environment. And these programs are designed to help people exercise, to actually put these practices into exercise in all areas of business: marketing, HR, communications, finance, investing, as you can see in many of their shows. And with the help of Jaki Baskow, we've created an entirely new series called Meaningful Meetings. And this is all related to the powerful way that meetings and face-to-face events can help organizations align the interests of all stakeholders toward a common purpose, goals, and objectives consistent with their values. So today we're lucky to have two people. And Jesse, I'm afraid, did we get your name spelled wrong on that slide? I think they're two L's. Is that
Two L,
correct?
it's two L's for me, and I think Baskow's got two different spellings as
Oh
well.
my gosh, folks. I'm used the wrong slide here. So I'm going to introduce them properly as Jesse Ferrell. He's founder of JessTalk, and he's going to share with us his whole strategies for helping companies align their people at their various events. And Jaki Baskow, so sorry, Jackie. She is the founder of one of the leading talent agencies, not only in Vegas, but in the United States. Her roster of clients is a who's who, and of course, Jesse is among them. So just one little piece of housekeeping. The Enterprise Engagement Alliance has a bunch of sponsors, and we always like to thank the folks that support our work. And then finally, we are stakeholder capitalists. We give away a whole bunch of information to help businesses improve their performance. So we always invite people to go to our website, theeea.org, to take advantage of all of those great resources. So, done with the homework. Jesse, Jackie, thanks so much for joining us today. And Jesse, of course, I'd like to start with you, but I'd like to remind everybody that Jackie is sort of my co-host here, and she works with a lot of the people that we're going to be featuring on these shows. So, Jackie, I invite you at any time and moment to add your questions, your points to Jesse. So, Jesse, starting with you, what got you into the whole concept of speaking? What in your 30 years, I believe, of hospitality management, what did you learn there that you wanted to share with people?
Yeah, I would say that it really gets down to one single word: communication. That's what I learned. It was 36 years of hospitality from a busboy through many different facets of hospitality: blackjack dealer, hotel, front desk, so for casino marketing, executive level casino marketing. And in those 36 years, the number one thing that I saw that was the biggest deficiency, and I see it all the time actually, is the power of communication.
And that's what got you into the whole speaking business. So tell us then, what is the general approach you take in your speaking assignments?
Well, and when you say what got me into it, actually, I see it this way. I didn't really, I wasn't looking to get into the speaking industry at all. Actually, what happened was I was at the pinnacle of success at one of at the very best hospitality facility in the world. It was Bellagio at the time. I know these things shift a bit, but it was Bellagio at the time. And no one had seen anything like what he created there: the ambiance, the creativity, the art, the sound barriers, just beautiful. I was just so happy that I was there. And I had a pact with a higher power that I was going to be there till death. But I had a friend that told me that when you have a, when you tell, if you really want to make God laugh, tell God your plans. And then I thought, oh, I never looked at it that way. So was it? I thought we had a deal. And so what ended up happening is I end up getting fired from that job. I got fired for doing the job. And two words came to my mind with that termination. The two words were never again. Never again will I allow that to happen. The signing of a pen to dictate my high six-figure fate after all that work and all that effort. I must be doing the wrong thing. So I asked myself one critical question that I had never asked and didn't even know I didn't know. Why am I here? Why am I here on this earth? What is my purpose? So when I went to find my purpose by asking to figure out why am I here on this earth, I picked up a book from Brian Tracy, Action Strategies for Personal Achievement, that says, if you do not know your best gifts and talents, ask 10 people that know you well. I asked 15 people one question: what are my best gifts and talents? They said guiding, directing, leading others. I said, what? Can you make a living doing that? So I looked on the internet. Oh my God, you can make a pretty darn good living doing this, right, Jaki Baskow?
Absolutely. You know what? It's funny, Jesse, that you're mentioning this, and I would love you to tell our story between you and me, how we met. But, in life, I think, I own Baskow Talent, but I also own Las Vegas Speakers Bureau. And I opened up the Speakers Bureau and the talent agency because I couldn't make a living casting movies. And as you know, I'd love you to tell the story because and I just want to say one thing on why I would hire you as a speaker, not only because I adore you and respect you. Everything about you is what people need to be. They need to be kind. You exude kindness and knowledge, and you learn. I mean, you learn about the people and the company, and you try to help people be the best you could be. I know you're not going to say it, but I know the story, and we'll leave it anonymous. The story you're talking about, you did your job so well that somebody else was intimidated and
Yes.
intimidated that you were moving up the chain and that you worked so hard. People adored you. You did your job to the fullest. And people get intimidated about that. And instead of getting intimidated in life, people should embrace their employees that do a great job and that are passionate. I have a brother that works for a company that just he celebrated 40 years at work. And somebody came up to him and threw a little thank you card at him. Nothing like, thank you for your 40-year service. It was all wrinkled and had been sitting on her desk.
Wow.
Very disrespectful.
Wow.
I'll say it on this podcast because it's how I feel. But I would love them to tell you, how you came into our life and how we became friends.
Absolutely. I'll make it short and sweet, Bruce, and then you chime in wherever you like. And Jackie's, it's a keeper story. Absolutely. And it goes back a ways. And I'm from Northern Nevada. I grew up in Reno, Nevada and Hawthorne, Nevada. The first 5 years in Reno, the next 12 years in Hawthorne. And I was aspiring to move beyond the smallness of a small town mentality and community. And my favorite aunt and uncle, Helen and George, lived in Las Vegas. They brought me here to babysit at age 12. And so,
And you never left.
well, exactly. And I never left, 100%. But when I came back to go to college, I was 17 years young, and I was very creative at the time. I was going to UNLV on a full ride fine arts scholarship. And I searched, guess where? They didn't have the internet. I looked on the yellow pages and I found Jaki Baskow Talent Agency. Oh my God, that's got to be for me. So at age 17, I signed up for Jaki. I got to meet her. She interviewed me. She liked me at age 17, and she
Wow.
sent me to the Sahara Hotel to do the cue cards for Don Rickles at
Wow.
age 17, right? So I do these cue cards for Don Rickles, and it turned out to be a great experience. And fast forward to, I don't make a life by a number, but fast forward to age 64. I reach out, I'm watching this program on a break from coaching, and I see Don Rickles. And I go, oh my God, I remember when Jaki Baskow had me do the cue cards for him. So I go, ooh, I wonder if Jaki Baskow will remember me. So I picked up the phone, I called Jaki Baskow. Hey, Jaki, it's Jesse. You probably don't remember me. I was 17 when we met, and I'm 64 now. And you signed me to go to the Sahara and do the cue cards for, and I said, oh my God, I remember that. I remember you. She says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm doing professional speaking. She said, I have a speaking agency. Well, I kind of know. Hey, you need to be one of my speakers. She signed me up. She hooked me up right away. She said, by the way, I got a referral for you right there. City of Las Vegas. You're going to get this gig. I got the gig right away. One phone call from watching Don Rickles, who's no longer on the planet, to call my girl, Jaki, and boom, mic drop. Here we are.
Well, that's a great story because, the whole point of this show, besides getting to how, and we will get to that, how you share your wisdom and to facilitate and make events more meaningful. But that's a great story because there's a lesson there. And so
Yes.
perhaps you can tell us, what are the big lessons that you try to share when you're engaged to do a speaking assignment? What are the life lessons that to you are most important to share?
Yeah, number one, I like to move from the golden rule to what we call the platinum rule. And the golden rule, most of us were raised on, which is to treat others how we
Wish to be treated.
exactly. But what if they're different? The platinum rule is to treat others how they want to be treated.
Hmm.
Not how, because if you're a little goofy and they're not goofy, well, that's not going to work. Or if they're
Wow.
goofy and you're not goofy, that's not going to work. But if you use the platinum rule, you treat them how they want to be treated. And we use a leadership, well, actually think of it as a concept. It's called the REACH leadership. REACH stands for responsibility, engagement, accountability, connection, and how you leave them feeling. And like Jackie mentioned that earlier. She's laughing because she knows
Eleanor
exactly.
Roosevelt, how you leave them feeling.
Yeah, so the how you leave them feeling concept, we've got so far we've got 3 books out there, and the subtitle of the how you leave them feeling is the main title. Subtitle will tell you exactly what you're going to gain from that. And that whole concept of meeting people where they're at. We like to meet people where they're at, and we use the platinum rule. So we want epic communication. We want to build relationship equity, right? And we want to make sure that we're bringing value to these people. So those are the big things that we use when we're out there speaking.
And so what are some of the big mistakes that you think a lot of companies make? You're in the hospitality industry where ironically, you see the best and the worst of people. In fact, I think when we were first talking, you told me you didn't know that New Yorkers were nice until you went to New York.
Right.
Because, we don't always show our best side when we're on vacation. So what are some of the big mistakes that you think businesses make to make that hospitality experience magical?
I think again, it's a bit of a repeat, but I would say it's broken communication or non-communication. That is the biggest thing that we encounter at Just Talk Speaking and Coaching Services. And Lisa Listen has her own company, but she's also a partner in Just Talk Speaking and Coaching firm. And the number one thing that we resolve or help people with is restore communication. Also, people resist change. People don't like change, even when they need to change. Even when they need to change for their better health, if they need to change for their mental, if they need to change to gain more business, to gain more revenues or whatever, people resist change. You know why people resist change, Bruce? Why do you think?
That's a good question. You're bringing up a lot of great issues. I don't have an answer for that.
Jackie, do you know why people, can you believe
I
that
think,
people resist?
I mean, I don't want to say the old dog, but an old dog with new tricks, with young tricks. And I think that people are resistant to change. Like I know I've had 4 secretaries working for me for 40 years. And now I have somebody here part-time. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to learn the technology. We get comfortable in our little comfort zone, in our little box.
Mic drop for Jaki Baskow. People get comfortable
Yeah.
and it's what they know. It's what they're used to. Even if it's not good, they know it. So
Right.
people do not want to go through the discomfort of the learning or the development or the responsibility part of executing the change. And even if they do, even if they take the step to try to make the change, a lot of times they stop because when it gets difficult, they want to put it down. They want to be comfortable. That's the number one reason why people typically resist change.
So when you're at an event, and one of the whole purposes of this whole new meaningful, meetings session, which by the way was very much inspired by Jackie, a show we did earlier, and I'm going to ask you
Along with
too, Jackie.
Bruce,
Pardon me.
along with you, Bruce.
Along with me, thank you. And I'm going to get to you. I'm going to ask you the same question in a second, Jackie. The problem I have with the old approach to the meetings and events is that they forget the fact that you can do great sessions like this on YouTube. This is going to be on
Absolutely.
YouTube next week. I'm going to summarize this in an article. You've already given me some life lessons I have never thought of, and they're going to be in that article. And I mean that. So, but my question to you is, how do we create that change? When I hire you for an event and I bring you in, how can I use you in a way that cannot be done on this screen, that cannot be done in YouTube, that can only be done in a room? How can we inspire people to embrace change? How can we inspire people to focus on communication or on appreciation in an event? by just talking with them for 15 minutes? What do you try to do to really, as you said, leave them with a memory that they won't forget?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing I do is I use a pre-event questionnaire. So whenever I'm hired, the first thing I do is I have a custom designed questionnaire and I send it to every single person. And if I think they can't receive it via email based on their style, I'll actually quietly interview them with the same questions. And what I want to know is what they want best for me and what's going to best serve them. Then what I do is I ask if I can go down in the chain to speak to down in the chain 5 to 6 people, and I interview them to find out what they see and what they know about the company, find out what they want about the company, find out what because it's never the same. So now when I get on stage, I go, wait, is he one of us or is he who? How does he know all this stuff? Right. So what I create is an interactive workshop. And with interactive workshops, to be different than like a Zoom thing, is to host small group workshops that dive deep into advanced communication skills and building relationship equity. I want to build the equity within a relationship within the company and outside. So number one is interactive workshops, and number two would be live coaching sessions from the stage. I call it laser coaching. So I offer moments for them to bring real life stuff, and if they will allow it, I'll do laser coaching. It's a much faster process to get to answers and through a role play situation. It's absolutely fascinating. And then we use immersive leadership retreat. So we integrate the speaking into like a multi-day retreat where we help guide participants through a journey of self-discovery and leadership development. That's huge. And then just a few more. Engagement, we do this through physical movement. We incorporate all kind of great activities that involve physical movement and team building exercises and communication skills, those sort of things to get the room vibrant. And then we use customized leadership simulations. We create those and we offer those during the program. Then we have onstage, what I call onstage audience interaction, okay? We like the onstage audience interaction because I like to create a conversation. I always say, I'm not here to do a monologue. This is a dialogue.
I like that.
Yeah, I create a dialogue with the audience. I mean, right away. I get them engaged right away. My thing is to get them, hold them, and then release them. I tell them what I'm going to tell them. Then I tell them. Then I tell them what I told them.
So Jackie, along these lines, one of the greats talk show people of all time, Phil Donahue just died, and his style really, I think, was revolutionary. Right?
Yeah.
He was the first one that really took the spotlight off of him and put the spotlight on the audience. And when you're a public speaker, Jesse, as you know, if you're up there doing a keynote, you often have a spotlight in your eyes. You can't see the audience at all. There's no way to interact. Jackie, why do you think that Phil Donahue style has not taken off as much in corporate events as it did on TV? I mean, I'd love to see Jesse out there in the audience with a mic,
Absolutely.
talking to Jane, talking to Bill. What do you, because as somebody said on another one of these shows, when you do one of these events, there's probably 50 people in the audience that know more than the speaker. So, Jackie, first off, if I am wrong, or has the Phil Donahue style never really taken off in conferences the way they did on TV?
No, I don't think it did because it was more of a one-on-one. What I loved about Jesse, and not because we're interviewing you, Jesse, and we're in a engagement here, but I think that, like he said, he created the dialogue and the monologue. I think it's about giving them information, but when I leave, I want to take that information with me for the rest of my life. And I'm thinking, wow, Jesse just made me realize that I can do that. Or why am I angry at the person next to me because they're my boss? I need to engage and see what they're doing and learn from them. So one day I can be the boss. And, I noticed there's a huge lack of customer service in this world. And I think we talked about it before. I walk in somewhere, people don't know their product. They don't care about you. They just throw stuff at you. It's like, not have a day, or have I told you about our new specials, or have I told you about our new technology product? It's like people don't want to engage and they don't want to listen. But what Jesse was saying is he doesn't just get up there and talk about a speech, and it's not all about him. It's about his audience. And Phil Donahue was about his audience. He let people talk and he listened. So important.
Oh
In
my
terms
God, yeah, you gave me goosebumps with that one, Bruce. Sorry, you want to say another
Well, I
question?
was going to ask you a question related to that because what it seems to me is that one of the very biggest problems with communication organizations, besides the fact that the organization itself doesn't have a clear purpose, goals, and objectives that
Right.
everybody understands, right? Like the Bellagio, I imagine at the time you were there was a vision, and that vision was clear, and you could mirror that vision so that you could live it. And so there's two big things that I want to get your view on this, and I think the hospitality is at the front lines of customer service, Jackie. The big problem is number one, CEOs often lack a clear vision, purpose, and goals that everybody understands. And then secondly, they allow a culture to evolve rather than be really purposeful so that it
Okay.
becomes siloed and people don't even agree. Do you think events like when I hire you, I mean, is one of the things that you can help us do is break down silos, build communication across the organization?
That's one of the number one things I do. And it just has a quick case study, and I am going to name the name. And it's because it's profound. It'll show up. And it's also tied to the Jaki Baskow story. It's a very similar story. So recently, it was actually 3 months ago, I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn and says, "Hey, are you still speaking?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well," I said, "Why?" He says, "Well," he says, "I still remember your keynote that you gave for Caesars Entertainment in the Mid-South region 17 years ago."
Great.
He says, "My company's coming to Vegas and they're looking for a good keynote speaker, and I thought of you." He said, "Will you talk to my boss?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Talk to the boss. They came to Vegas. This person recommended, because he remembered a keynote from 17 years ago and the power of that. And it was for the PGA of America, Professional Golf Association of America. So I did a program here. It went off so well. They said, "Look, we're going back to Frisco, Texas, the corporate office. Will you do another keynote there?" I go, "Yes." I did a keynote there. That was just a few weeks ago. We did a keynote in Frisco, Texas for the PGA of America. And it just so happened that the incoming president, Don Ray, he was being awarded top level, like the PGA the PhD version, that's as high as you can go in PGA. And he just happened to be there to get his award. Well, he sat through the keynote. Well, he rushed up to the front of the room right after the keynote. He said, "Oh my God, this was amazing." He says, "Will you do something like this for the board of directors? I'm the incoming president. Would you I mean, this turned into 3 speaking events from an event done 17 years ago
Yeah,
because it was how it left him feeling.
And
absolutely.
in a sense, what was the essence of how it left him feeling? What do you think really left him? What was he
He
feeling?
He felt like I was talking to him. He felt like I was meeting him where he was at. He felt like I was serving his needs. And I look to do that with every audience that I serve. I don't like to use the word control, but when it comes to a speaking event, I don't tell the people that hire me, but I take control of everything: the lights, the power, the temperature, the seating, the setup. I do all that because if there's anything that makes them uncomfortable, the speaker takes the hint. So I make sure all that stuff is dialed in. Well, at PG of America, when I was in Frisco, we did it the day before. It was all set. It was beautiful. Then they came and filled up the room. The problem
Yeah.
is I couldn't see. It was too tight. So now my clock, my timer clock, I don't like people to see me looking at the clock. That's not what they're there for. I hide the clock. Well, I tripped over the clock because it was too tight in the room. And now one of the audience members, he got the clock on the stand, he put it for me, but now he put it to goes, I can't see the clock anymore. So you know what I do? I create an audience participation thing. I get them moving around the room, and I get over and I go back and I move some slides around and I move the clock where I can see it, because it's about that audience. I want to customize that audience to fit who you are, where you are. And if you're looking to evolve and grow and develop, you can do it based on the principles. It's tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point. And that's the style that I use, highly customized. If I see I'm losing that audience, I don't care how long I spent creating that slide deck. I'll turn that thing off. I'm freelance. I'm going for it.
And one of the things, Jackie, we're getting here toward the end of the program, it seems to me a lot of events aren't even really set up for interactivity. The
No.
traditional conference, the traditional auditorium, right? Now, Phil, he made it work, right? He got his
Yes.
microphone and he got out there in the audience. But, again, when I speak, I can't even see the audience half the time. So, Jackie, do you think there are things that we can begin to think about in the way we set up auditoriums and meeting rooms to make them more immersive, without obviously saying they have to spend $10 million in renovations?
I happen to love when my speakers and the audience are up close and personal. When people put microphones in the audience, and I think that they should for most speakers, because people want to ask you, Jesse, they
Right.
want to know.
Yeah.
They want an answer. They're coming to find something. They're trying to find their niche. And I think when people go there, you know, instead of just listening to a speaker and leaving, and it's like, what did you get out of that general session? Oh, so and so spoke. No, you know what? I took so much with me out of this general session today. And I think people have the right to converse back and forth so they can get that knowledge. They want to take that knowledge and grab it from Jesse and leave and take it home with them and remember it for tomorrow and maybe 10 years from now when they're working or they become a boss that they could pass on to their employees.
And Jackie, that's a great thought. And Bruce, what I also do, to Jackie's point, when I'm in an audience, I'll intermittently say something to the audience. I'll say, do me a favor, look at your partner, have a 2-minute conversation, spend a minute each, and have a conversation about what I just said. And then I'll come out and then I'll just randomly pick. I'll say, what happened in that conversation? What did you gain from that conversation? When I did that for the PGA of America the last time, there was a lady sitting way in the back, and I thought she was really disinterested. She had the look on her face like she wasn't really interested. And I said to her, what did you gain from that? What she said she gained from that one conversation, she said she learned more about the leaders of her organization in that one 90-second conversation than she knew, and she'd been there for 10 years.
So, Jackie, let me ask you, do you, this whole concept of greater interactivity, do you think meeting planners today are more receptive to that now? I thought, our publication started doing a whole bunch of articles during COVID. Hey guys, we got to rethink meetings. Panel discussions work, keynotes work on Zoom. That really works I don't mind watching you at 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesse, if I'm up late or something and I want to hear some wisdom. So I want to go to an event where I can't experience that, and you can't experience Phil Donahue on a Zoom show, right? So do you think meeting planners are getting more receptive to blowing up that format, or do you think we're going back to the same old thing, Jackie?
I would hope that they would move forward. You know, the last podcast we did, Bruce, where you and I first met, a meeting planner on there was talking about how they do round tables. And just even though, Jesse a lot he's a teacher, he's an innovator, not just a speaker, doing round tables. In fact, he works with his wife a lot and going to the tables and doing a round table and finding out, asking, what's your communication gap in your job and how can we help you? How can we help you fix things? How can we make it you love waking up in the morning and going to work and enjoying the people around you? Oh no, I hate that person sitting next to me. How can we engage you two and form a unity here? You know, I think that we need to work more closer together. I love when Jesse is up there and people are asking questions from the audience. What's your biggest, can I ask you out there, what's your biggest problem I can help you with, or that I can give you an answer for, or help you give yourself an answer for? People need to be engaged.
Yeah.
People are going to work nowadays. Oh, I'm going to work. I've been here 20 years. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I have to get up and go to work in the morning. It shouldn't be like that. It's not just about a paycheck. It's about your passion, whether you're a bookkeeper or you're cleaning the floors, whatever it is, you're providing a service that's making somebody else happy.
So,
That's
Jesse, you get the last word here. What would be the single most important piece of advice? Let's say you're flying on an airplane and you're sitting in first class next to some senior executive, and she asks you, okay, Jesse, I've got to get all my people together for our national sales meeting. What is the number one piece of advice you would give me to make that the most effective use of our time?
Consider this. Stop focusing only on what you're saying and start focusing on what they're hearing. Focus on what they're hearing. So many people focus on what they have to say. They do all this preparation and so forth and so on, and it's really rote. When you focus on what people are hearing, you reach them, you connect with them, you engage with them, and it's memorable. If you only focusing on what you're saying, it's too much ego involved. Drop the ego and focus on what they're hearing. And then challenge them to put that in action. Leave them with at least one walk away, take away challenge. What will you do about what we have shared in our experience here today? What will you do to put that in action to move forward, to advance in your life?
Well, thank you. And that's very consistent with your entire concept of the platinum rule, which is one of my takeaways. I love that. I also love the takeaway. Hey, folks, if you are a little bit wondering about direction, where you're going, ask 10 people. I love that. And do you know that? And never once in my life, Jesse, have I ever thought of that. And never have I thought in my life about the platinum rule. So, and there's other really big nuggets here
Like that.
from both of you about communication, about how new formats, folks, to get, the Phil Donahue approach, to get Jesse out into the audience. And most of all, identify the purpose, goals, and objectives of your event and work with your talent agent like Jaki or the speakers to really have a strategic plan to fulfill it. So thank you so much. This is a little bit rocky, our first Meaningful Meetings event show. But Jaki Baskow, thank you so much for your helping us get this thing going and inviting Jesse. And Jesse Ferrell, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And all of this will be published next week. There'll be an article about it. It'll be on YouTube and it'll be in our weekly newsletter. So have a wonderful Labor Day weekend and thanks again.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you so much. And Jesse, thank you. Have a great weekend and hello to your wife.
Brown sugar kisses.
Thank you.